Well, this is Joe Williams from Anchorage. Back to my wife. I tried to say a few words to her, if she's there. But I can talk my language.
Dakun kaditi so they names and sala go at the ukustinously in go sala.
Alaska natives are changing, although on the surface it may look as if life goes on as usual. Anaktuvik in Eskimo means place of many caribou droppings, a good place to hunt. Here the villagers stalk the caribou and dress them with as much skill as their forefathers, and yet in other ways they are leading emerging nations into the next century. The Alaskan bush is a developing nation itself, with the Native Land Claims Act its charter. With meat safely cached for the winter and dogs fed, we can now, for the first time, see beyond our own immediate survival. To plan for better housing, relevant education, and economic independence, we must have communication first. My Eskimo brothers in Anaktuvik Pass already have communication. Overlooking their simple frame and sod houses on a hill near the school is a strange yet graceful antenna, pointing through a notch in the mountains to a satellite. Two dozen ground stations in villages and hospitals across the state tie in with NASA's ATS-1 satellite, forming an experimental network whose center is Minitrack at the University of Alaska campus in Fairbanks. Three major experiments in medical consultation, education, and public radio ride the satellite's long, straight beam. Staff and graduate students at the university's Geophysical Institute man the Minitrack station.
Our role in the program is to manage the network and to provide the technical assistance for the potential users. The maintenance of the equipment, of course, is our responsibility. We've had some strange things happen.
2000 GMT. Roger McPherson advised from Ruby that the cable to Florence's had been blown down for about 150 feet by a strong wind. 2220 GMT, Chalkitsik transmitted while having a washing machine plugged in. The signal seemed low and a hum showed up in the modulation.
We pass messages to people concerning medical matters.
Roger, Jesse. Is Charles Fletcher still there? Over.
He's over at the boiler room. I can go get him if you want to talk to him. Over.
Roger, if you could do that. We have just 10 minutes, but I did get a message back from the state police on that emergency message, so if you could get him, I would appreciate it. Over.
Roger, stand by. I'll start running. Over.
Roger, college standing by.
We do arrange for evacuation if it's the easiest thing for us to do.
Roger, I copy. Can you contact Jim Pippin at Aurora Flying Services and have him to come out? Over.
Roger, this is the KB2X TC College.
We also have transmitted a considerable amount of technical information over the satellite.
But to native people, having the use of a satellite means more than just experiments. It means, for one thing, being able to talk to a doctor every day.
Go ahead with your medical traffic. Over.
Roger, Canada. I have June-Net, age 2 years old, and her mother thinks she has straining in her left ear, and her ear smells, and I checked her ear.
I'm Bertha Moses, the health aide of Elkaket. I've been using the satellite radio 1 year now, and we can talk to the doctor every day.
Doctor Call is sponsored by the National Library of Medicine. For the first time, native health aides in a dozen small villages can obtain daily medical advice.
Roger Alakakit, how has she been treated in the past, and for what periods of time with what antibiotics? Over.
Alakakit to Canada. She was put on ampicillin 10 days.
Bob Crooks, one of the 2 doctors at Tanana, feels the satellite has affected the hospital as well as the villages.
The health aid system and radio call is an excellent system and just needs to be built on. We're seeing more cases that do need evaluations that we can offer in the hospital, x-ray, laboratory work, and a lot of minor problems are picked up in the village early.
I'd like to have a culture taken of this year.
With years of experience, but only a few weeks training, Bertha Moses serves as the only healthcare provider in the village. The doctor only visits once or twice a year.
With the satellite radio, I have more confidence in what I'm doing, because there's the doctor talking with me and telling me what I should do. I like it because it's dependable. It's helpful to listen to the other health aides too. One time I was listening again and they talk about a patient in one of the villages who has pacemaker. And I think that was helpful for me because someday someone might have one here.
KP, Elkaket, clear with KB2X's antenna, and thank you.
Roger, Bertha. If there's no further medical traffic from Alakakit, this is KB2XS antenna now clear with Alakakit and calling KQ2X, JQ, Anaktuvik Pass. Over.
An experiment is designed to test. In this one, the tests are sometimes life and death matters. Lives have already been saved because of the satellite radio in these 26 sites. Patients with severe head injuries, seizure, and obstetrical emergency were all given initial treatment over the satellite and then evacuated by plane to a hospital.
The only way we can get to a hospital or to a doctor from Elkaket would be by plane. We can travel by boat to Hughes and Bettles, and we can travel by snowboat, but that's all. The mail plane brought Coca-Cola. There was cases and cases of it, and tissue paper, and pilot bread, and eggs, and there was Sears packages, and there was boxes for the school, groceries for the store. In the summertime, the mail plane come on schedule twice a week, but in the winter time, if it gets below 40 below, then we don't really expect a plane to come in. They also get booze too.
You had that kind before?
Yeah.
I have to find the water. Water for it, see? Yeah. And then eardrum.
We get our medicine by the mail plane too. Before the satellite radio, I used to feel just helpless with a patient. We had AM radio, and we used to have a lot of trouble trying to get through to Tanana, even if it was medical traffic hour.
Let it dry up a little bit, the other half. You think that tastes good, Jude? 1/2 teaspoon of this ampicillin, huh?
High-frequency radios, still used extensively in Bush, Alaska, suffer from almost constant interference from mountain ranges, storms, and atmospheric disturbances. The satellite system bypasses these problems with a point-to-point beam from the Earth straight up to the satellite, then back to the Earth.
There. Now.
Other health aides, even in the Tanana area, aren't so fortunate. They rely only on an HF radio, luck, and ingenuity.
I'm George Weiner. I'm the village aide of Beaver, Alaska. Population stays about 108. There's a few whites and a few Eskimos and Indians. They're pretty well mixed. The guys trap during the winter, and most of them have season jobs like summer firefighting and construction. The rest of the time they're on what they call rocking chair money during the winter. During summer you get fish. Dog salmon, pike, sheafish, whitefish, king salmon. Everybody get the water from the river. Town don't have no well, just the schoolhouse has a well. Been about 3 years, or pretty close to 4 years now that I've been a health aide here in the village. Only real emergency I ever had is delivering a couple of babies. And that's 2 of mine. I couldn't get through the radio at all, no place. Couldn't get FirMed and get Fortune, couldn't get Tan at all.
George Weiner's refrigerator serves only as a storage cabinet for his medicines. Beaver has no electricity. Nina Miller's husband is a guide and trapper. During the hunting season, she is left alone with her children.
Hi, George. Have a chair.
What's the trouble today?
Oh, I've got an earache.
You got an earache?
Last summer, my boy John was fishing in the slough near our cabin and came home with a fish hook in his neck. He came in with a friend. He was not crying at all. He was just holding his head in a tense angle and holding the pole very carefully.
All right, it's just a little bit red.
Someone ran for George.
I didn't have nothing to take it out with, so we had to run around and look for wire cutters to cut the fish hook off. So the other one started to get embedded in his head, too. I didn't try the radio because it was too late. It was 8 o'clock, and they signed off at 5. The radio's in teacher's quarters, and I gotta go through and ask his permission to use it. I hate to interrupt during school hours.
Besides, the odds are against contact with a doctor. In the last 2 years, George Weiner has reached Tanana once.
This first time, they promised us the next year they was going to put about 16 satellites up here. And they told me that they were too short on satellite radios, and I don't know what happened after that.
And when the satellite came, my God, it was a regular system. You could talk to it every single day and get an answer right away. It's a two-way communication.
And it showed quite clearly that communication improved health care in the bush. Before the ground stations were installed, these 13 villages all relied on high-frequency radio contact with Tanana. During the experiment's first year, the average number of patients in the satellite villages who were treated with a doctor's advice more than tripled. But it's unfortunate that this is only an experiment, and that nearly 200 villages in Alaska cannot directly benefit from it. And it seems to me that it is to the benefit of the entire state, really, to proceed to do everything that we can to ensure that we have good communications in the state. And to me, this means that it could be a system that would be subsidized by the state government, perhaps.
The state of Alaska is actively planning for a satellite system. We've only recently named a telecommunications director in the governor's office. The director of telecommunications will be actively working in this field from here on out.
And perhaps because of the vast distances in Alaska, we could have some special federal legislation passed that would assist us to get a satellite system in the state.
I'm going to offer legislation to try and subsidize this from the federal level. But it will need the participation of the state government, the state legislature, the local government. It will need also possibly Alyeska and other interested parties that would want to help share the cost of this.
The most important thing for Alaskans to keep in mind is that we can have the finest, the most sophisticated communications available anywhere, but we have to ask for it. It's our right, but we have to seek it.
I've got a sideband, and it's been a year or so since I got Tanana, so I'm lucky to get Fort Yukon once in a while. The weather's good. Yes, I would like to have a satellite radio here so I can have it down in my own house, and I wouldn't have to bother teachers during the day when they teach in school.
That's about all I can say, honey. I hope you're all right. I hope the whole village is all right. That's all I can say. Good night.